Divine secrets revealed. Why God let them underestimate you. The shocking truth at 3 a.m. The clock struck 3. It wasn't just loud. It was like a gunshot in the dead of night. Shadows flickered as if they had a life of their own. In that moment, secrets lay tangled in the air, heavy with mystery and electric with the unknown. People in the small town of Elmwood would wake to whispers of a truth so profound it would change everything they thought they knew. Not far from the old church, a blue flicker lit up the street. The source? A forgotten neon sign that had buzzed to life, casting eerie light across cracked pavement. Someone stood beneath it, eyes squinted, studying the ground. It was Sarah, the girl everyone wrote off as just another face in the crowd, but tonight, she felt different. She could almost hear the low hum of the universe telling her something. But what? In the distance, a dog barked frantically. Its bark echoed with urgency, as if it had sensed something dark lurking just beyond the edge of the streetlights. As Sarah moved closer, her heart raced. She felt it, an inexplicable pull, drawing her to the heart of the mystery. Was it faith or folly? Her friends had laughed at her dreams. "You think you're special?" they said, rolling their eyes. But tonight, she could sense something coming, something that would unveil their doubts or shatter them completely. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves, like nature was holding its breath. The dog stopped barking, silenced by a peculiar calm that swept through the air. Sarah hesitated, searching her mind for what this could mean. She suddenly remembered her grandmother's words. The truth will always find a way to expose itself, especially in the darkest hours. A chill traveled down her spine. What if they were all overlooking something massive? What if this night held revelations that could rewrite their fates? With trembling hands, she reached for her phone, hoping for clarity, but the screen went blank. Her heart sank. A thunderous crash echoed from the shadows, and before she could react, something or someone stepped out from the darkness behind the church. As her breath caught in her throat, her eyes widened in disbelief. Who, or what, could it be? The night was ominous, and the answers lay just beyond reach, waiting to be uncovered. A figure emerged, cloaked in darkness, the outline shifting like a phantom. Sarah felt her heart thumping wildly against her ribs as the unknown presence drew closer. A strange energy crackled in the air, making every hair on her body stand on end. "Who is there?" she called out, her voice trembling despite her attempt at bravery. Silence answered her, thick and suffocating. The flickering neon light seemed to pulse, casting shadows that danced across the pavement. With every heartbeat, fear knotted in her stomach. Suddenly, the figure stepped into the light. It was Emmanuel, a boy really not much older than her. His eyes, wild and searching, fixed on her with a mix of urgency and desperation. "You have to listen to me," he gasped, breathless. "They're coming." "Who is coming?" Sarah's mind raced. The dread creeping into her chest morphed into curiosity. "Those who want the truth to stay hidden." His voice trembled, reflecting the raw fear that seeped through the night. "You can't stay here. They'll find you." "Look, I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, still contemplating if she should run. But something in his eyes stopped her. It was a warning. He stepped closer, the urgency in his movements compelling. "Do you believe in dreams that tell you things? In feelings you can't shake? You sensed it, didn't you? The hum, the pull towards tonight?" Sarah's heart raced as she nodded slightly. She had felt it, the eerie pull towards something powerful and significant. "They don't want you to uncover it," he pleaded, glancing nervously over his shoulder. The dog broke the tension with a sudden bark, and the boy flinched. "We need to get away from here." Before she could ask more, he grabbed her arm and started moving, dragging her down the street. Panic surged through her. Wait, where are we going? She stopped, pulling back, her instincts screaming at her to be cautious. Please, just trust me. If you don't, everything will change, and not for the better. The weight of his words pressed against her. If there was any truth to what he claimed, it could be a game changer. She thought of her friends, their laughter, their dismissiveness. How she had always felt like she could be more, like she had something to offer. Okay. She finally relented, her curiosity overshadowing her fear. But you have to explain. As they hurried down the dimly lit street, he began to speak of secrets hidden in the heart of Elmwood, of a power that could elevate the underestimated, but could also destroy those deemed insignificant. Sarah's pulse quickened further. Could this be the revelation she had longed for? Do you remember the stories about the old church? He asked suddenly. About the festival that started everything? She nodded slowly, recalling the murmurs of old-town folk, tales of love, betrayal, and the strange happenings surrounding it. They're all true, he continued. And tonight is when it all changes. They think you're just a kid, but you're not. You could be the one to unlock that power. They rounded a corner, and the church loomed ahead, ancient and intimidating. It felt alive, pulsing with history and secrets begging to be unleashed. Are you ready? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah's heart raced, every instinct battling between fear and excitement. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure what awaited below. But somewhere deep down, she felt a fire igniting. Let us find out, she breathed, stepping forward. But as they moved closer, a shadow slipped through the door of the church, and a low growl emanated from the darkened entrance. Get back! The boy shouted, but it was too late. Sarah's heart dropped as she realized. The truth may not just be waiting for them. It might be hunting them down. In that moment, everything hung in the balance, and she wondered, what other truths lay hidden in the heart of darkness? The growl grew louder, echoing off the weathered stone of the church, vibrating through Sarah's very bones. The boy tugged her backward, urgency pulsing in his grip. She barely registered her surroundings, the cobbled street. The chill in the air, her focus locked onto the doorway where the shadow lay. Then, with a swift movement, the darkness coalesced into a figure. It was hulking, dripping with shadows as if night itself had taken form. A sense of dread swept over Sarah. This was no mere guardian of secrets. This was a predator. Run! The boy shouted, his voice wavering as he dragged her away from the church's threshold. With each step, Sarah felt the weight of fear turn her legs to lead. She glanced back, and the creature lurched forward, its glowing eyes fixed on them. The determination in the boy's grip urged her to keep moving. They dashed down the street, panting, their footfalls echoing in the night, merging with the distant howls of the wind. What is that thing? She gasped, the air burning her lungs. A guardian. Of a kind, he replied breathlessly. It's meant to protect the truth, but it can be ruthless. If it deems you a threat, you won't get a second chance. Panic surged anew. Why did we come here? I just wanted answers. Some answers come with a price, he shot back, darting into an alleyway. The walls felt oppressive, closing in around them, the shadows far more menacing than before. Up ahead, a flicker of light emerged, a street lamp struggling to stay lit. The boy whispered urgently, we need to find a way inside and seal off the outside before it catches up. If it pins us down, we're doomed. Sarah's heart raced. She wanted to scream at him, to ask for a plan that made sense, but the words twisted in her throat. Instead, she focused on the flickering light ahead. It felt like a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. They skidded to a stop beneath the lamp's glow, throwing nervous glances over their shoulders. The boy's expression shifted from fear to determination. This way, he pointed to a low window, its frame jagged and weathered. Are we breaking in? Sarah hesitated, glancing at the shadows crawling down the alley walls. Something tells me we don't have time for niceties now, he said with a hint of a smile, tugging her toward the window as they scrambled inside. Sarah felt a pulse of energy surge through the air. felt alive, electric. A shiver skittered down her spine. The inside of the church was vast, echoing, and its stone walls were adorned with fading murals depictions of ancient rituals and figures long forgotten. "What does this mean?" she whispered, stepping cautiously through the dusty interior. "It means we've found the heart of it all. This is where the festival began, all the power, the legends, the truth about Elmwood. The key lies somewhere within these walls," he explained, his voice steady, but she could see the flicker of doubt in his eyes. That a soft rustle echoed behind them, sending a jolt of fear through Sarah. "What was that?" "Just hold on tight," he urged, eyes scanning the darkening corners of the church. They had no time to consider their next move. The hum of energy surrounding them was pulsing faster now, almost guiding them. As they pressed deeper into the shadows of the church, an ancient altar loomed into view, cloaked in darkness, but bursting with unseen power. "Tonight the truth is laid bare. Will you embrace it?" the boy said, his gaze locking onto Sarah's, the weight of his words heavy in the air. But just then, a deafening crash from behind them shattered the stillness. The creature had found them. "Quick, we need to act," he shouted, urgency threading through his voice. Fear surged through Sarah's chest, but something deeper tugged within her. What lay ahead held unknown truths and possibly unimaginable danger. She took a breath, steeling herself. "Let us do this." And as they turned toward the altar, shadows converged. The boundary between fear and destiny blurred, and Sarah understood tonight. Their realities would either shatter or transcend, forever altering their lives. As darkness swirled, she realized she was standing at the precipice of her own reckoning, and there was no turning back. What truths would emerge from the chaos that awaited them next? The air thickened as the shadows merged around them, swallowing the flickering light of the altar. Sarah's heart raced, thundering in her chest, drowning out the distant growls that seemed to vibrate through the very stones of the church. She felt the boy's presence beside her, a steady anchor amidst the chaos, but uncertainty crackled like static in the space between them. "Where do we go? What do we do?" she breathed, glancing at the altar that loomed heavy with ancient energy. It felt alive, pulsing gently, a whisper of power calling her closer. "Focus," he urged, his eyes darting toward the darkness filling every crevice. "We need to find the text, the one that holds the truth. Said to be hidden here, somewhere." Every instinct screamed at Sarah to run, but she was rooted to the spot, drawn inexplicably toward the altar. It was as if the air shifted, and she could almost hear a voice echoing softly, beckoning her. The truth, it seemed to say, wrapping her in a shroud of yearning. "Come on." The boy's grip tightened on her wrist, dragging her from her trance. "If that creature finds us here," a sudden crash ricocheted through the space, slicing through the noise of their own hurried breaths. The creature was entering the room. Shadows slithered beneath the doors, stretching, elongating as if sentient, hungry. "There." The boy pointed, urgency bleeding from his voice as he indicated a weathered tome that rested on the altar, partially hidden by decaying cloth. "That's what we need." As they rushed forward, the boy clutched the edge of the altar, peering into the depths of the faded symbols carved into wood and stone. Sarah felt the power humming beneath her fingertips as she reached out to touch the ancient text, her pulse quickening in time with the energy swirling all around them. Her fingers grazed the surface, and suddenly, the room began to reverberate with an unknown energy. The pages of the tome flickered open dramatically, words illuminating in a brilliant glow that pushed back the encroaching darkness. Images of past rituals, celebrations, and a community bound by arcane knowledge flared to life, filling her mind with half-formed memories and forgotten truths. "Read it," the boy urged, eyes darting to the door, panic rising as he sensed their impending doom. "Fates twist in shadows. Thank gods that walk in light," Sarah began, her voice odd and distant as the words seemed to spill out of her, each syllable igniting the air around them. With each declaration, light expanded, mingling with the shadows, forming a barrier that flickered in and out, holding the menacing creature at bay. It slammed against the walls, a growl of frustration echoing through the church, rattling Sarah's bones. Time slipped away. I can't keep this up. Sarah gasped, the energy starting to wane. Just a bit longer, he shouted, voice breaking. Think about what they've kept from us. Let that drive you. Breathless determination surged within her. Images of Elmwood, her hometown, the laughter, memories, the moments they sheltered in shadows filled her. Fates intertwine in blood and light, she continued, her voice stronger this time, pulling from a depth of forgotten strength. The walls pulsed in response, and for a moment, she felt transcendent, like she was connecting to something much greater than herself. But the creature smashed against the barrier, cracking it further. Do it now, the boy shouted. Finish. With one final surge, Sarah called upon everything she had, the weight of history and hopeful lives pressing down on her. Awaken the guardians. Let the truth be free. A blinding light erupted, washing over the room. The creature shrieked, falling back into the depths of darkness, momentarily blinded by the force of their unity. But as calm enveloped the church, Sarah felt a rumble beneath her feet. What's happening? She whispered, eyes wide, fear creeping back. I think we've awakened something more than just the truth, he stammered, and the altar trembled, the air crackling with unknown energy. The ground shook violently, disrupting the uneasy silence that had claimed the space. Hollow thuds echoed through the church, followed by a deep, rumbling voice that roared from beneath them. Fools! You think you can unveil the truth without consequences? As the church trembled and the air thickened with impending doom, Sarah clutched the tome tightly, the weight of choice heavy on her heart. What had they truly unleashed? And at what cost? The answer loomed, just beyond reach, waiting for the moment to strike. The ground convulsed beneath Sarah and the boy, threatening to swallow them whole. Dust rained from the ceiling as cracks splintered the stone. Each tremor was punctuated by that thunderous voice rising from the depths, a discordant melody of anger and mockery. Consequences? Sarah echoed, her heart racing. What do you mean? The boy gripped her arm, pulling her closer. We need to get out of here. His eyes darted around, searching for an escape route. No. The voice seemed to curl around them, an oppressive fog. You awakened the truth, but all truths bring forth shadows. You cannot run from your reckoning. Lightning flashed from nowhere, illuminating the church in stark relief. And for a moment, Sarah saw multiple shadowy figures materialize just beyond the altar, swirling like smoke taking form. They were cloaked, their features obscured, but she felt their eyes boring into her soul, hungry for understanding, or perhaps vengeance. The boy steadied himself, then shouted over the ominous whispers, We need to confront whatever this is. You uncovered something here, Sarah, something they've kept hidden. But how? She trembled. The fear was palpable, gripping her throat. This was supposed to unlock the past, not unleash monsters. The shadows writhed, their low murmurs growing louder, echoing around them like a gathering storm. Fates entwined our stories woven together. You are threads in a tapestry much older than you realize, the voice said, slithering into their minds. The weight of those words squeezed Sarah's chest. What tapestry? Who were these entities? What do you want from us? She gasped, desperation creeping into her voice. Only to teach you. The shadows shuddered, swirling more violently now, spitting visions into her mind like shards of glass. Fragments of old ceremonies flashed, people dancing, chanting, invoking powers far beyond her comprehension. Each vision left her reeling, memories not of her own flooding her awareness. Stop it. I don't understand, she cried, clutching her head. The boy moved closer, pressing the tome against her. Read it again. There must be something in there that can help us. With shaking hands, Sarah opened the book once more, her eyes scanning the pages. The vibrant glyphs seemed to pulsate even more fiercely, demanding her attention. Identify the light within the shadows, she read aloud, a whisper of hope mingling with the chaos around them. From the depths, a figure started to rise, cloaked in darkness, but beneath the shroud, a light flickered fiercely. The boy caught it too, and they locked eyes, understanding the urgency of their choice. They had the opportunity to face the truth that surged forth. Identify the light. They spoke in unison, their clarity carving through the fear. The shadows shrieked, twisting in agony, reluctant to divulge any of their ancient secrets. Accept your power. The voice boomed again, and suddenly the light swelled, pushing back the darkness inch by inch. The boy stepped forward, the resolve in his voice piercing through the tension. We are not afraid. What do you want us to do? The darkness screamed, contorted, and finally wailed under the flickering brilliance. Then silence fell thick and heavy. Choice, the voice lingered, reverberating through the church. Will you embrace your destiny, or cower in the shadows of those who came before? Sarah's heart raced. The shadows thinned, but the choice weighed heavily upon her. What if the power they now wielded could indeed bind them to something darker? Sarah, we have to decide now, the boy urged, desperation cutting through the eerie stillness. I don't care about the cost. We must fight, not just for us but for everything we cared about. In that agonizing moment, she felt the tension swell, like a taut string ready to snap. The echoes of her past mingled with visions of a future littered with their choices. Taking a deep breath, she raised her head. I choose to fight. But with those words, the ground trembled violently again, and the unseen entities stirred. Prepare for what comes next, the voice trailed off, ominous and foreboding, leaving Sarah and the boy at the precipice of their fate as the air thickened again. More forceful this time, Sarah felt dread clawing at her insides. What awaited them in this battle against shadows, both ancient and new? Everything hung in balance, teetering on the edge of a knife, a confrontation against an insatiable hunger. What would they have to confront next? What if their decision unraveled more than just their destinies? The silence shattered like glass. A blinding light erupted from the tome, engulfing Sarah and the boy. It wasn't just illumination. It was pure, raw energy coursing through the air, vibrant and alive. Sarah's heart raced as the shadows recoiled, twisting away from the glow, their anguished whispers morphing into guttural growls. What's happening? The boy shouted, his voice nearly lost in the tumult. The light shifted, spilling over them like molten gold, carving out pockets in the darkness, exposing grotesque figures lurking just beyond the edges. Sarah clutched the book tighter, fighting against the warmth that threatened to consume her. I don't know. Just keep your eyes open. Don't let them pull you in. From beneath the veil of terror, a truth surfaced, crystalline and sharp. She could almost hear it, echoes of lives lost, sacrifices made, and betrayals echoed within the church's walls. Each whisper spoke of a time when the ground shook not with destruction but with creation, a world birthed from the myths and legends now trapped in shadow. Look, the boy pointed, his voice tremulous yet fierce. The altar. It's reacting to the light. Indeed, the altar's surface rippled, glowing in rhythm with the energy pulsing from the tome. It beckoned, an ancient call from stone woven with stories. Sarah hesitated only for a moment before she surged forward, guided by instinct and a flicker of courage igniting within her core. Together, she cried, grabbing the boy's hand, pulling him close so they could stand as one before the altar. The figures recoiled further, screeches clawing at their sanity, but they didn't back down. Instead, they gripped the fury of the moment, interlocking their fingers around the glowing book. Identify the light within the shadows, they shouted again. The power surged as their voices collided, supercharging the light and slashing through the darkness like a knife. But the shadows twisted back, their forms swirling in retaliation. You cannot face the past without acknowledging pain. The voice howled, the very air thickening with regret. No, Sarah cried, fear coursing through her veins as she felt their message seep into her mind. We will not take the blame of the past. We choose to break the cycle. Echoes of fury erupted. The shadows fought back, battering against them with howls that threatened to consume everything. Sarah felt a sudden heat surge through her veins, igniting her spirit, and she realized the tome was responding to her defiance. Just hold on, the boy shouted, desperately trying to maintain their connection. The altar, something's changing. Before they could comprehend, golden rays shot from the altar, intertwined with arcs of darkness that writhed like snakes. It was a dance, creation battling destruction. Their combined energy extended out in vibrant whirls, crafting a shield as the shadows roared in fury, smashing against an invisible wall. Together, she urged, her voice shaking under the weight of the moment. We have to push them back. We have to reclaim this space. As the shadows clawed at their defenses, she felt the energy of the tome feed off their conviction. The light intensified, pushing against the smothering darkness. Suddenly visions flooded her mind, glimpses of lives intertwined with her own, stories of those who had come before, bound by blood and betrayal. Sarah. The boy gasped, his grip tightening around her hand. The book, what does it say? The ages are bound by choice, she whispered. It's all connected. We must choose for them to break the cycle of pain. As they focused fiercely together, the light blazed, illuminating the entire room, revealing faces twisted in sorrow but yearning for liberation. The once hidden shadows darted back, their fury melting into an anguished cry. But just then, a burst of raw darkness erupted from the shadows, spearheaded by a figure emerging from the chaos. Cloaked, with eyes glinting like coals, it reached toward them, hands outstretched. No! Sarah screamed, her heart pounding like a drum in her ears. What do you want? Your choice is not your own. The figure hissed, darkness pouring from its form, threatening to reclaim them as it lunged forward. The altar crackled with energy, binding Sarah and the boy to the moment. The light shimmered, ready to explode into a final confrontation. What sacrifice would they make to ensure their freedom and the release of all those entwined with their past? The air bristled with tension as Sarah felt the enormity of their choice bear down upon them. Would they hold their ground, or would they fall prey to the fingers of fate? The darkness surged forward, a living entity crashing against their shield of light. Sarah stood firm, the weight of the book feeling both like a burden and a lifeline in her grasp. The figure's hands neared, shadows pooling like ink around its fingers, tainting the air with an ancient bitterness. No, the boy shouted, now pulling back slightly. We can't give in. But doubt clawed at the edges of Sarah's conviction. Images of failure flashed through her mind, her past mistakes, the faces she let down. What if we can't do this? What if it's too late? She whispered, terror mixing with desperation. Don't think like that, he replied, urgency in his voice. Focus on the light, Sarah. Remember what you felt when the book first gave you strength. His words struck a chord. She remembered the rush of energy, the warmth encircling her, igniting the courage sleeping within. Clutching the tome tightly to her chest, she closed her eyes, feeling the pulsing light within. It was familiar, like an old friend guiding her through a storm. You can't break what you don't control. The figure hissed, and the shadows surged, clawing against the barrier, an oppressive weight grinding at Sarah's resolve. No, Sarah shouted, eyes snapping open. You don't control us. We choose our destiny. With a fierce yell, they thrust the book forward, allowing the light to explode from its pages, flooding the room. The brilliance engulfed them, intertwining with the darkness, weaving an intricate tapestry of resistance. Shadows screamed defiant, yet weakened, splitting and writhing as beams of luminous energy cut through them. Push back with everything you have, the boy urged, his voice a clarion call amid the chaos. Sarah felt the torrent of energy discharge from her, a pulsating heartbeat that pushed against the menacing figure. The altar vibrated, and with each heartbeat, the oppressive darkness receded just enough to reveal glimpses of lost souls trapped within its depths. Each face bore a story of anguish and lost hope, their eyes pleading for release. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she realized the stakes. This wasn't just their fight, it was for everyone hurt by the shadows. A chance to rewrite their futures. A chance to let them know they hadn't been forgotten. Together, she cried once more, squeezing the boy's hand, fusing their spirits amidst the escalating chaos. On three. 1, 2, 3. In unison, they shouted, we choose light. We choose hope. The book erupted with light, an overwhelming wave that cascaded through the room. The shadows screamed, a sound that shattered glass. The cloaked figure shielded its eyes, the darkness ripping apart at the seams. It drew back, lost within the radiant storm, guilt straining against its essence. But amidst this upheaval, Sarah felt a surge of resolve. "We will break the cycle," she declared, her voice unwavering. The shadows roared, furious, lashing out one last time. "Your choices will lead to loss." The figure spat, its voice shrill with rage and desperation. "You will only condemn yourselves. Not if we fight for everyone." Sarah shouted, the mantra echoing in her mind as if it were a spell itself. A blinding flash exploded forth, radiating into every corner of the sanctuary. Sarah's grip tightened around the book, its energy electrifying her being, amplifying her resolve. Then silence. The kind of silence that felt heavy yet freeing, thick with unspoken promises. But as they breathed in the stillness, a low growl rumbled through the ground, whispering secrets lost in time. "This isn't over," the figure hissed, melting back into the shards of darkness it commanded. Its presence fading but never really gone. Sarah turned to the boy, their eyes wide with disbelief. Did we win?" she panted. "I don't know." He breathed, the tension still heavy, the air thick with uncertainty. They looked back toward the altar, a soft glow beginning to pulse from its surface once again. Was it really over, or simply the prelude to something far worse? As shadows danced at the edges of their vision, Sarah took a shaky breath. What's coming next? Behind them, the tome hummed softly, a living creature whispering the secrets of the past and the fears of the future. They weren't done yet. In the heart of that ancient sanctuary, the next chapter of their battle for freedom was just beginning to unfold. Sarah's heart raced as she exchanged worried glances with the boy. The pulsing glow from the altar flickered like a heartbeat, promising revelation but cloaked in uncertainty. "Do you feel that?" he whispered, eyes darting toward the altar. The air buzzed with tension, charged with something unseen yet palpable. "Yeah," she replied, trembling at the thought of more shadows emerging. Her voice trailed off as a dark silhouette coalesced in the shape of the figure. "No." The boy shot forward instinctively, fire igniting in his eyes. "We can't let it back in." "Wait," Sarah shouted, holding her hand out. "This might be different. It could be looking for redemption." The boy hesitated, brows knitted in uncertainty. "Redemption? You heard what it said. It thrives on our fear." "Just hear it out," she insisted. Doubt gnawed at her, but a flicker of hope persisted. The shadows had receded, and maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for understanding. With a low, guttural tone, the figure emerged fully from the ink-black shadows, its form shimmering under the soft glow of the altar. "You think you've won?" it rasped, its voice sliding through the air like a sudden chill. "You know nothing of the power you antagonize." "Then tell us," Sarah exclaimed, her resolve firming against the specter. "What do you want? Why are you here?" "I am the keeper of ancient secrets," the figure replied, the shadows around it swirling like smoke caught in a breeze. "You believed you could break free, yet every victory brings a deeper curse." "Curse?" the boy echoed, shaking his head. "What kind of curse?" A chilling silence enveloped them, pressing down heavy like an anvil about to drop. It leaned closer, emerald eyes glinting against the dim light. "You sought to liberate those trapped in my grasp, but what of the shadows within yourself? Your guilt, your fears?" "I don't have fear," Sarah protested, though her voice wavered, uncertainty creeping into the edges of her words. Memories washed over her moments of weakness, choices that felt darker than midnight. "Oh, but you do," the figure hissed, and its laugh echoed like a funeral bell. "And until you confront those truths, the darkness will never truly fade. It lingers, feeding off your regrets, your anger, your doubt." "Stop," the boy shouted, stepping protectively in front of Sarah. "You're just trying to manipulate us." "No," Sarah replied, shaking her head. She felt raw and exposed, yet in that moment, something shifted in the air. "I need to hear it. I need to understand." A twisted smile curled across the figure's shadowed lips. "Ah, the naivete of the hopeful. So be it." You wish to battle your demons, the secrets of your past? Very well, but know this. Each shadow you face will show you an even darker truth about yourselves. A pulse of darkness rippled through the room, sending tendrils of shadow snaking toward them. Sarah gasped, the air thickening around her. What is happening? Face the truth. The figure boomed, and she clutched the book tighter, heart racing with dread. The ground trembled, and as she braced herself, memories surged forward, each one sharper, rawer, more vivid. She saw faces of those she failed, grew numb under the weight of their expectations. The light flickered violently as the shadows of her past collided with the present. Sarah, the boy cried, raising the tome overhead, channeling the embers of their hope. We want to be consumed. Help me, she gasped, a lump forming in her throat as she battled against the fear threatening to suffocate her. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the chamber, rattling the very bones of the sanctuary. A deafening roar erupted from the figure, vibrations coursing through the ground like waves in an ocean of despair. Then, Sarah felt it, the weight of her choices and their shadows converging in a single moment of clarity. I refuse to be burdened by fear anymore. As the shadows clashed around them, a light sparked violently, fighting back against the darkness flooding her mind. Would this newfound strength be enough to break the curse and silence the haunting echoes of her regrets? The air around them crackled as they prepared once more to confront the formidable shadows that only seemed to grow stronger. Would they find the truth about themselves, or were they, like the trapped souls, destined to be consumed forever? The altar brightened again, illuminating the path ahead, a path that would determine whether they fell to despair or transcended into something greater than themselves. What truth awaited them in the heart of darkness? And could they find a way back to the light once they uncovered it? The shadows pressed in from all sides, thick and suffocating. Sarah's heart pounded, each beat a frantic reminder of the power swelling around them. The flickering altar cast long, chaotic shadows, distorting the figure's face into a monstrous grin. You think you can withstand the storm? It echoed, daring them to defy its might. Stay together, the boy shouted, his voice barely carrying over the tumultuous energy. He grasped Sarah's wrist tightly, grounding her with his presence amidst the chaos. Don't let the darkness in, he continued, his gaze locking onto hers. We have to focus. On us. On the light. Taking a deep breath, Sarah rallied every ounce of courage within her. We face our fears. Together, she declared, an unexpected strength coursing through her veins. The visions of her past slowly shifted, swirling around like wraiths waiting to strike. The specter leaned forward, its emerald eyes glowing with malice. Pitiful. You cling to false hope. It raised a hand, summoning shadows that twisted into shapes, tangled memories of loss and despair. Faces emerged, friends betrayed, loved ones hurt, chances squandered. You think this is strength? Look closer. You will drown in this darkness. No, Sarah screamed, struggling against the tide of memories. These are lessons. I am more than my fears. Images of laughter, of joy, flickered amidst the darkness. Moments that had birthed resilience, her mama's soft smile, her dad's laughter during long summer evenings. The darkness paused, as though caught off guard. You believe you can rise from the ashes? It taunted, the shadows momentarily hesitating in their relentless onslaught. Yes, she could feel the light within her spark, igniting hope against fear's relentless grip. The boy tightened his hold, and together they directed their resolve forward. We are not defined by our pasts. They build us, but they don't bind us. The figure's laughter echoed again, a sinister mockery. You cannot escape the chains of regret. They are forged from your own weakness. Once they claim you, it's eternal. Not if we choose to break free. The boy shouted, pulling Sarah closer, the tome glowing vibrantly in his hands. We've fought too hard to give in now. With synchronized breaths, they raised their arms, channeling their combined light toward the shadows. The altar pulsated, amplifying their resolve, and suddenly the air crackled with intensity. The shadows hesitated, recoiling as if struck. Feel the truth. The figure bellowed, its voice a blend of rage and fear. Face the darkest corners of your souls. A blast of memory swept through Sarah, raw and stunning. Guilt washed over her like icy water. She saw Ethan's face, pale and pleading from a moment of neglect. "I am sorry," she cried out, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I see you, your pain matters." The air thickened with energy. The shadows screamed, drawn back by the power of her truth. The boy's voice rose alongside hers. "And I regret hurting those I care about. But I will forgive myself. We will heal." Bright beams erupted from the altar, cutting through the mass of shadows. The figure swirled, becoming frantic as it writhed under the pressure of illuminating absolution. The darkness began to disintegrate, fading from the edges of their minds and hearts. But as the chaos began to calm, a rumbled whisper surged through the remnants of the shadows. "You think you've defeated me?" A sudden pulse of darkness swept over them, plunging the room once more into eerie silence. "This is just the beginning. You do not truly know what lurks within." Their victory felt precarious, the altar flickering wildly beneath them. Sarah turned to the boy, her eyes wide. "What does it mean?" The last tendril of shadow slithered away, leaving them in a stillness that felt too quiet, too deceptive. "What if the real battle is yet to come?" The boy murmured, dread setting heavy in his voice. Could they truly unearth the real demons that awaited them, or had they inadvertently unleashed something far worse? The air crackled with tension as Sarah and the boy stood amidst the shifting shadows. The altar flickered like a heartbeat, matching the rhythm of their anxious breaths. They couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper lingered just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode. "Was that just a warning?" Sarah whispered, her chest tight with apprehension. The boy shook his head, determination flashing in his eyes. "No, we faced something significant back there. Whatever comes next, we'll be ready." With those words hanging heavy in the air, the altar began to vibrate, more powerful than before. An ancient power resonated, beckoning Sarah forward. She felt it, the invitation to delve deeper, to reclaim what had been lost. "This place holds our past," she murmured, glancing around at the crumbling stone walls, each crack telling stories long buried. "And I think it wants to show us more." "Are you sure?" the boy asked, as uncertainty flickered in his features. "What if we can't handle what it reveals?" A thrill shot through her, urgency ignited by the thought of lost truths waiting to be uncovered. But what if the answers are here? What if this is our chance to finally break free from all of it? The boy hesitated, and she could see the gears turning in his mind. They shared a gaze, unspoken understanding flowing between them. Without another word, they stepped toward the pulsing altar, ready to confront whatever emerged next. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted, brighter than any they had seen. For a heartbeat, they were wrapped in warmth, cocooned against the darkness, and Sarah could feel her heart soar with possibility. The shadows recoiled, snapping and flaring, as if unsure what to do with this newfound brilliance. "Stay strong," the boy shouted, stealing a glance toward the freedom they desperately sought. Sarah nodded, eyes fixed on the light, and stepped closer, mesmerized as the words in the tome began to hover above its pages, glowing with vibrant energy. "Proclaim the truth." They echoed in unison, the power of their voices intertwining with the light, amplifying it. The images projected from the tome grew vivid, moments of joy and loss, love and disappointment, untethered fragments of their lives hand-picked from the depths of their memories. The boy's family, her childhood home, the laughter of friends. Each recollection swirled around them, painting the air in glowing hues, breathing life into forgotten parts of their souls. "This is it, Sarah," he exclaimed, eyes shining. "These memories, they're our power. We can harness them." Tears streamed down her face as heartache morphed into strength. With every moment that danced before them, clarity unfurled. "Yes," she choked out, "we can reclaim what we lost. We can make sure every person they trapped doesn't fade into the darkness." The shadows twisted and screeched around them, rage trembling in the air as they struggled against the warmth of the light. "You dare to defy your truths?" The figure's voice boomed, raking against their confidence, ugly and snarling. You've only glimpsed the surface. That may be true, Sarah shouted back, determined not to flinch. But this is our journey, and we are not afraid. We embrace our truths, all of them, with every aching detail she could muster, every piece of her heart she could reclaim. She brought her voice to the forefront. We choose hope. We choose to rise above. The energy from the altar surged, driving the darkness back with a force unlike any other. It cast rays into the menacing shadows, illuminating what had thrived on fear. The encroaching shadow creatures shrieked and writhed, their defeat nearing. The boy joined her, raising the tome in defiance. With every light we hold, every connection we nurture, we choose to break free. We are stronger than your chains. Their voices resonated together, powerful and unwavering. As they lifted their voices, a wave of blinding light radiated out, searing through the shadows, pushing them back, illuminating the ancient stone with a roar. The figure loomed before them, but it faltered as the brilliance enveloped it. You cannot hide from your truth, nor can you deny that it is a double-edged sword. It howled. But we accept it, Sarah shouted, as the light blazed brighter, purging the darkness around them. Those shadows no longer define us. They only serve to elevate us. The air buzzed, shards of energy bursting forth as the figure writhed against its imminent defeat. Clutching the book close, she felt her courage swell, rising up and pushing the darkness further back. The shadows began to dissipate into nothingness, carried away like smoke on the wind. Keep breathing, Sarah. We're almost there, the boy cried, urgency flooding his voice. And as they continued, the energy surged from the depths of their commitment, binding them closer to the truth that had gripped Elmwood for far too long. With one final deafening explosion of light, the altar erupted, showering them in brilliance. The shadows screamed, dissolving under the weight of their freedom. As the dust settled and the light absorbed the remnants of darkness, Sarah and the boy collapsed side by side, panting yet exhilarated. They looked up and found the sanctuary transformed. Sunlight broke through shattered windows, illuminating the forgotten space that had held them captive. Stunned, Sarah turned to the boy. Did we do it? He broke into a smile, disbelief shining in his eyes. I think we did. We faced everything, together, with laughter ringing sweet in the air. Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over her. Their victory echoed in her heart, vibrant and alive, stirring something deep within her. And with that acknowledgement, the weight of their shared journey dissipated, replaced by hope and the promise of what lay ahead. Let us go home, she said softly, the words carrying a weight that felt lighter than air. Yeah, he agreed, glancing back at the altar, a hopeful smile illuminating their path. Let us start again. The shadows were gone, and in their place new beginnings awaited. Don't forget, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait even one more second to share.